GOP welcomes black voters. No more excuses. GOP welcomes black voters. No more excuses. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Political Buzz Network, and my name is Laurel. On this vlog, I want to express to all black voters, to all registered black voters living in the United States and U.S. territories. I want to let you know that the GOP does not hate black people, and the GOP welcomes you into the party. And it's not just for the 2016 election. You see, for decades, the Republican Party has been working behind the scenes to attract black voters into its tent. But due to the Democrats and many key black Democrat leaders and the mainstream media putting out propaganda about the Republican Party being racist and hating black people, many black voters have remained Democrats or have continued to cast their ballots for Democrat candidates, because many black voters falsely believe, and I say falsely because what they believe is not truth. It's not truth. Many black voters believe that the Democrat Party is the party with heart. See, many black voters have not actually done their research. They don't even know that the first Ku Klux Klan came from the Democrats. It was the Democrats decades ago who were Ku Klux Klan leaders and did not allow black people in this country to vote. It was the Republican Party starting in the 1800s, after black people were emancipated by Abraham Lincoln. It was the Republican Party who allowed black people in this country to cast their ballots, to vote, to exercise their right to vote as human beings living in the United States. It was the Republican Party who first allowed black people to vote and to run for public office. The first black U.S. senator was a Republican. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. He was not a Democrat, as has been falsely or fictitiously reported. He was a Republican because the Republican Party welcomed black voters. The Republican Party allowed black people to run for public office. So throughout the years, up until like the early 60s, most black people in America were Republican voters. I too was a Republican voter. For years, I was a racist Republican for years. For years, I was a racist Republican. And then I switched over to Democrats to support Obama's election. But then I switched from Democrat to an independent voter. So I was only a Democrat for a very brief time in my voting life. As a registered voter who has voted in many elections, when I say many, I'm speaking of Bill Clinton's election, Bill Clinton's re-election on up, from Bill Clinton's second term or his re-election onto the present. For the majority of my voting life, I was a registered Republican. Now, even though I did support Bill Clinton's re-election, I was still a registered Republican. And I did vote for George W. Bush. I sure did. And even though I supported Obama, I still supported the Republican Party in 2010. In 2010, when the Republican Party had that great election tsunami, and John Boehner was elected as the Speaker of the House, and Richard Burr out of North Carolina was elected U.S. Senator, I voted for those people. I sure did. And now I'm supporting the Republican Party again. I'm still currently a registered independent, unaffiliated voter, but I'm strongly supporting the Republican Party for the 2016 general election and presidential election. And let me tell you something. Like I was saying, the Republican Party was the first political party that allowed black people to vote and allowed black people in this country to run for public office. And the first black U.S. senator was a black man, was a Republican. Do your research. Don't just listen to mainstream media propaganda. Do your research. Don't just listen to black key Democrat leaders. Do your research about this country and this country's voting history for black people in this nation. The Republican Party does not hate black people. They've been trying to get black people back into the party for years. And now they're at it again. But this time they're having more success. You want to know why? President Obama's policies have hurt many black voters who supported him in 2008 and 2012. And those black voters now are disgruntled. And I know that the mainstream media is trying to make it appear as if all black voters are for Hillary. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. There are some black voters who are going to support Hillary and the Democrats, or Bernie Sanders and the Democrats. But the majority of black voters are not supporting the Democrats. So all of the cable news networks that are reporting that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats have captured the black vote again, they're lying. If you get out there in the open highways and byways, go out there in the streets, as I have already done, and interview or talk to some black voters, not just in Charlotte, North Carolina, not just in Atlanta, Georgia. Go everywhere. And you know what? Go all over Atlanta. Don't just go by a few people. Go all over Atlanta. Because I met some black people who live in Atlanta who said they're not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. But the mainstream media makes it appear as if all black people are going to support Hillary Clinton. That's a lie. That's a lie. Hillary Clinton, like I said before in previous videos, I like her as a woman, but I'm not going to vote for her. Why? Because that Democrat platform is something wrong with that Democrat platform. And as a born-again Christian and a black voter who has been burned by President Obama's policies, I cannot support that Democrat platform for 2016. I can't trust the Democrats right now. No political party is perfect. Only God is perfect. Only God is perfect. Politicians, political platforms, not perfect. But as it relates to the lesser of the two evils, I'll take my chances with the Republican Party for 2016. Because under a GOP president, black people in this nation were thriving. Under George W. Bush, I don't care what any of y'all say, the national unemployment rate was much lower. And black people there was a black middle class in this country. Black people had decent paying jobs. And I don't mean $7 an hour. I don't mean $7 to $8, $9 an hour. I'm speaking of above $15 an hour. Black people had good paying jobs. They were homeowners. They had money in the bank. And more importantly, there were many black people in America under George W. Bush who were business owners and job creators. I repeat, under the leadership of George W. Bush, first and second term, there were many black people living in the United States who were business owners and job creators. Now you have very few black-owned businesses, a very high national unemployment rate for black people, much fewer black homeowners. It's a mess. So I can't trust this Democrat Party moving forward. Regardless if I like Hillary or not, she's still supporting Obama's policies. And Obama is her running mate. President Obama is Hillary's running mate. He's helping her on her campaign because Barack Obama is a political genius. Barack Obama is a political genius, but he has used his political genius for the wrong purpose and to hurt many black voters. So even though Barack Obama is a political genius, his policies have not helped black people in this country. And I don't mean giving us food stamps and welfare. I repeat, I'm not talking about giving black people handouts like food stamps and welfare. His policies have kept black people on food stamps and welfare. His policies against black people have been anti-productive, counterproductive to our success and our being self-sufficient and our being job creators within our own community. So because of his policies, many black people have been stuck on welfare and food stamps. So I can't take that chance again. So that's why I'm supporting the Republican Party. And the Republican Party is not racist. I've been covering Republican events since last, October. But even before then, I was being invited, even before the 2016 election or campaign season kicked off last year. I was being invited to Republican events, and I was treated very nicely. And even now, I'm being treated very nicely. It's not just about an election. Everybody says that Donald Trump is racist. Guess what? I covered a Donald Trump rally in Atlanta, Georgia, and nobody knocked me down. Nobody called me a nigger. That's why I'm using the N-word. When I was at the Donald Trump rally in Atlanta covering that event 2 weeks ago on a Sunday afternoon, nobody called me a nigger. Nobody knocked me down. Nobody beat me up. So this false concept about the Republican Party hating black people or being racist is a myth. It's a lie. The Republican Party wants to hear from black voters. The Republican Party wants to invite black voters to come into its tent. They want to talk to you. They want to hear from you. They want your input. They want your vote and your input. Democrats just want black votes. They don't really want our input. I repeat, Democrat leaders, they just want our vote. They don't really want our input. They want to tell us what to do. Like, we're educated. We're the elite. We're the elite of the Democrat Party. We'll tell you what to do. We don't want your input. The Republican Party wants our input, and they want to welcome us into their tent. So, black voters, you have no more excuses. Black voters in America, you have no more excuses. The Republican Party does not hate you. They want you. Not just your vote, they want you. They want to see the black race in America to be lifted up once again and to rise back up out of poverty. And we can do it together. We can do it together. So reconsider. Look at the issues of both parties. Don't just vote for a party. Look at the platform issues. Look at the history of the Republican Party as it relates to black voters. Look at the history of the Democrat Party as it relates to black voters in this country. Look at whose policies and platform will help black voters more. So if you want the status quo for black voters in this nation, keep voting for Democrats without doing your research. But if you want to see the black race in this country to rise back up again to success and self-sufficiency, if you want to see us to once again be self-sufficient and be success and be job creators and business owners, take a second look at the GOP. Because the GOP welcomes black voters, and black voters no longer have an excuse. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Political Buzz Network, and my name is Laurel.